Are you calm and collected in emotionally charged situations, or do you react like most people do? Well, stick with me because this week I'm going to show you how to do the former. Hi, this is Grant Herbert, leadership and sustainable performance coach, and today I'm going to continue our conversation around this wonderful thing called emotional intelligence by helping you to shift your behavior. We've been talking about our emotions and the fact that we're emotional beings. And in that, over the last few weeks, we've been recognizing why it is that we do what it is that we do. Emotions are those physiological signs, cues, and clues that we experience in our body that we then make them mean something about us, about the situation, etc. That then determines what we think about. Those thinking patterns then take us towards a particular behavior. So we've gone from the physiological to the psychological. And what we want to do is manage what goes on in that psychological process. So we're not managing the emotion. That's there for a reason. We're an emotional being. We don't want to suppress or ignore our emotions. What we want to do is we want to notice them so that we can name them and then navigate them. So today we're going to have a look at a process that I teach to help my clients to be able to pull in the reins on that unresourceful behavior. So instead of going from an initial emotion to thoughts that lead to that behavior that you don't want, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to harness that gap between the physical and the psychological. So the first thing that you want to do is name the emotion. We've talked about that. So we've got to be able to recognize the emotion that you're experiencing and give it a name. And the reason we want to do that is so that we can then employ the strategies that we've developed for that particular emotion. Now, not everyone handles particular emotions in the same way. In fact, they don't even experience them in the same way. We're not all hardwired with a set of emotions that everybody reacts and responds to in the same way. So you need to be able to name the experience that you're going through. Name that emotion. So that's the first step. The second step is to ask yourself another what question, and that is, what am I thinking right now? Now, the power of asking these what questions is that they are a logical question. So we're not asking, why am I feeling this way? Or why am I thinking this? We're asking ourselves, what? So we're just collecting data. So we're not going deep into the emotion of what's going on. We are asking a simple question. What am I thinking? Now, the reason that you want to ask what you are thinking is so that you can challenge any thinking that is illogical, any thinking that is feeding any of those three universal fears of not being enough, not belonging, or not being loved. Anything that is something that you are making up in your own internal dialogue, which may or may not be true, because those things will lead to the unresourceful behavior. So we've checked in, we know what the emotion is. We now know how we are experiencing that emotion through our thinking. So the next thing we can do now that we've harnessed some of that emotion in terms of where it's going with our thinking is ask yourself the question, what do I want to happen here? So now, because we're de-escalating and going away from that normal reaction to the emotion, we're able to ask a question where you can actually plan where you want your behavior to take you. So instead of going to where it normally goes, you can decide, I want it to go here. And that behavior is obviously resourceful. So now that you know the emotion, that you are experiencing, what's going on in your thinking, and you're challenging that, you now know where you want to end up. So the fourth part of the process is to ask yourself a question. What could I do or say right now that would sabotage me getting to that outcome that I want? You know, we all do things because we're emotional beings and we respond or indeed react in certain ways, and we've built up that internal conditioning around that so it can go from that initial emotion to that learned behavior very quickly. So by asking yourself the question, you know, what do you normally do, or what could you do right now to sabotage that result? You are checking in with your mini-me, with that internal dialogue. You're looking at your past patterns so that you can then decide to go somewhere else instead. So, for example, you could be in a situation with another person and you could ask yourself that question, and the answer might be, well, I could answer them back right now and tell them exactly what I think. Now, that may or may not bring you the result that you said that you want. So you decide where you want to go. Then the fifth part of the process, now that we've got all that set up in place and you're thinking in a more resourceful way and you know where you want to go, is to ask yourself the question, what could I do right now that would actually take me towards that outcome? And in that, what you're doing is you're recognizing the need for a strategy. You know, some strategies for me in situations when I might be in conflict is the answer to that question could be, well, I think you could take a break right now. You could disassociate yourself from that person and that situation so that you can calm down, or whatever it is. Or I could say to myself, well, I could thank that person for giving me that feedback, whatever it is. But this is the resourceful behavior. This is what you want to get to, which is going to give you the results that you want. So the process has taken you from an initial experiencing of an emotion, a sensation in your body, through to a behavior which is going to be good for you, good for others, and good for the greater good. You can be in control of your own behavior. It's not about managing the emotion, but what it is, and what we all take responsibility for, is managing the response to the emotion. Well, that's it from me for another week. We've had a great conversation this month around our emotional intelligence. And there's far more competencies to work on. And if you are interested in working on your emotional intelligence, make sure that you get in touch. And I can make some resources available to you, or even see if we're a good fit to work together with your team or with you one-on-one. So next week, we're going to start in the third shift in these 9 crucial shifts, and that's in the area of your intention. And this is going to help you to be able to go from being all scattered to being more planned. All right, I'll see you then.